All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Molly. Welcome, AJ. Welcome, Sapon and
Good
Sapon.
evening. Good evening. Thanks for having
Visu
us.
Visu Visu Bob Maknia.
All right, hello
Swipsu.
everyone.
Swipsu,
Hello,
all the
hello.
friends and family.
Yes.
Facebook friends and family.
Are you asking me a question? Or are you asking Molly's question? For me, I'm doing fantastic. My family's doing fine. And how about you? Can you hear
Great.
me?
Everybody's great.
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right.
All is well here too.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and start our podcasting. All right, it's time. 8:02. Here we go live every Friday at 8:02 Eastern Standard Time. The Mindful Matters podcast. Follow, join, and watch us, where you can learn how and why to be the following: be more successful, get healthier, build and create generational wealth, plan money tree, and above all, stay and be happier with the people around you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is our co-host, Sopon Chun. And our,
Done.
yeah, nope, not yet. And our
All right, thank
participant,
you everyone. Appreciate you
we
guys
have,
being here. Thanks for having me for today Mindful Matters. Welcome everyone to the Mindful Matters podcast. It's the most one of the most exciting shows that I look forward to every single week, Friday 8:02 Eastern Standard Time. We have Chris, we have Sapon, myself, and my brother here. I couldn't get
AJ.
uh, AJ. That's right, AJ, and a special guest tonight, you guys. Super excited. I've been following the details of some of her accolades, her accomplishments. TEDx speaker. She's a author. She's a speaker. Amazing survivor of trauma from the I guess I want to say. From the past, and she likes to share that with you tonight. So, thank you guys. So, in this episode, we are going to be diving deeper into her story and what she is going to be able to share to us tonight. So, I'm super excited.
Yes, indeed. So what you're gonna do right now, Sapon, you're gonna go ahead and prep Molly of what type of question we're gonna go through with her. Just give her step by step what we're gonna do from first step to the sixth step. So I'm gonna go ahead. What you're gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. So this podcast show here, we have a six series, six different questions. For the format, it goes number one, introduction about Malay, and I want to say Phonpadith. I hope I'm saying it right. I hope I'm not messing
Mal,
it up.
mal, Malay Pompadit. That's right. You said it right.
Malay Phonpadith. Oh my God, it sounds so beautiful. It's like a song. Sound like a song.
Oh.
Sound like a beautiful story. So, and we're going to dive deeper into her vision and her businesses. And number three, sharing strategy on her personal and business successes, challenges, and obstacles. I'm excited about this one, how she overcame them. And she's going to be sharing her experience on how to stay and be healthier mentally, physically, and emotionally. Very important, right? And also sharing her way, how and why to build generational wealth and plant your own money trees. And above all, why it's very important to stay and be happier with people around her. So, super excited. Yeah, let's start with number one. Malie, would you care kindly introduce yourself? Give us a little bit of background about who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm excited. It's Friday night. It's party time. I'm happy to be being here with you tonight. I am, again, Malay Pompadit. I am the founder and CEO of SOAR Community Network. I was also a child refugee of war. I came here after the Vietnam era. Once the Vietnam War was over, it just became so chaotic in my homeland of Laos. So we escaped in the middle of the night and got here to the US. So we'll talk more about that. But I'm just delighted to be here. A little bit more about me, as I have a passion for people and the work that I do. Again, we'll talk more about it. Is all around making sure that we are whole humans and we are elevating, operating at our highest level of self. And that's why the work that I do is all about human development and leadership development. So I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome.
Yes, definitely. Super honored to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on. We look forward to learn from you.
Indeed. So our next one, we're going to go ahead and dive deep into her vision and her businesses. And then before we start that, number 2 is Sopan or AJ or anyone else that might have a question for Molly before she can dive deep into her vision and businesses. Okay. No? Yes?
So you live in Alexandria, Virginia, Molly?
I do. I live right outside of Washington, D.C. in Alexandria, Virginia. It's beautiful here. I actually, when we came to the U.S., we landed right here in Washington, D.C. And I have lived in this area ever since. So I'm definitely a native, if you can, Washingtonian.
Awesome. I'm from the area also, but you know, I didn't get to meet you. I knew a lot of people there, so I look forward to meet you in person. Thank you.
I would love that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're ready to move on to diving deeper into your vision and businesses, Molly?
Sure.
Let's
What would
go.
you like me to start with? I have so many visions.
Actually, you know what? I love your first book. You know about the well, you know what? Why don't you start? How do you start your business? How did you begin?
Okay.
What's interest to you? What kind of inspire you? What get you engaged and what motivate you and what get you going? I think that's what most people have difficult doing is how do I get started to get or your first step of doing a business or starting a business?
That's a great question. Well, I can tie in my vision and the businesses all together then. I think I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner, an entrepreneur. As you can imagine, growing up, really not having much and practically raising your parents, like you were parenting the parents here in the US, I always had it in my heart that one day, the only way that I can get us out of poverty was through education. And I also planted a seed in my heart that I was going to own a business one day. I had no idea how. I didn't know who was going to help me, but I just felt like even early on, I think 7 or 8 years old, I knew that one way to do it was through studying really hard and being an entrepreneur, to create my own destiny as an entrepreneur. So that is really where the seed was planted very, very early on, very young. And then because we didn't have a lot of means, I was very intentional about every decision I made. I was a straight A student. I started working at the age of 15. I quickly, and it was a fast food restaurant, and I quickly became the shift manager. I took on as many shifts as I could. Every other check went to my parents to help pay with bills, and whatever I could save was because I wanted to go to college, knowing that my dad came here and because of the language barrier, he was a janitor. My mother was a hotel housekeeper. There was no way that they can send 4 kids to college. So I always knew that it was going to be, I had to make sure that I would write my own destiny. So being a straight A student, studying really hard, volunteering, joining every after school activity possible because I knew I needed scholarships. So my vision was when I was very young to all the ways in which I was going to manifest this reality of someday becoming an entrepreneur. So I went to the University of Maryland in College Park. I studied international business. I studied Spanish. I studied marketing. I worked full time. I went to school full time. I barely slept. And I graduated with 3 degrees speaking 4 languages. And that's the vision I had for my future. So it was just intentional, but I always knew it was my destiny. So, and in terms of my business, I have always been an entrepreneur in spirit. When I graduated college, I went to work for a company and I learned as much as I could. And eventually I became a financial planner, which was kind of my first taste in entrepreneurship because you ran your own practice but you had support from a big company that can kind of help teach you and nurture you. And then after 7 years of being a financial advisor, I went ahead and started this company today, SOAR. And I've been almost a business owner for almost 20 years. And my business SOAR, thank you. And my business SOAR, again, is all about developing compassionate leaders, designing cohesive teams, and fostering collaboration. So people that go to work are whole humans and contribute to missions that they care about.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
I almost cry.
What a powerful story. That is amazing. I can see what drives you the most. And Amelie, I have a question. Is it time for Q&A or should we?
Yes, this is, and every between agenda we'll have questions.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Gosh, I had all kinds of questions, but I wanted to ask you, when you did a transition from being a financial advisor and going and opening and starting your own business, SOAR, what was the what was it that pushed you to go towards that direction, that make you take that leap of faith and go on your own?
I think that what I believe is that everything happens exactly as it should happen. And I was supposed to be in financial service for the amount of time that I was, but something in my spirit told me that there was more for me to do. I was really gifted in math and science, and so being a financial planner was very easy for me. But what I loved most was the people aspect of it. And through the years, what I started to recognize is I was more intrigued by the motivations behind why they chose to do what they did, and how the money that I was planning was driving those desires. And so it was more about the human element. And after about 7 years, I also started to recognize that those that came to me for financial services, who had a sense of purpose, who had a sense of self, when wealth entered their lives, they actually did more for society. They were more philanthropic. And then those that came to me who maybe didn't really have a sense of purpose or felt maybe a little lost and wasn't able to really articulate that, when wealth entered their lives, it actually became more of a mindset of, I'm not sure if I trust people. I think they only want me for my money. And so I started to recognize the differences and why it mattered that people had a sense of purpose and self-value. And when I started to realize that that was really the intrigue and interest for me, I knew that human development was really my purpose in life.
Right.
And that's when I decided to make
that's
that
amazing.
change.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I can see why.
So anybody else with the comment or question?
Yes, please. So I'm learning about financial service as well. I'm a campaigner. I didn't understand it earlier, even though I'm a major in accounting and finance, but I just know how to work for corporate. So until I went through crisis and I see a lot of people around me, have money problems, and I'm just stopped learning. But my question for you is the most struggling field. When you talk about money, nobody want to talk about it. Who's supporting you? You have a spouse, you got family, significant others. That's the challenge.
Yeah, I guess, for me, it is hard to talk about it. But when I was in financial services, I didn't focus so much on the money. I focused so much on their vision for life and what that money could do. So it was more about just listening to what motivated them and drove them to their actions, to understand why they were saving or what they were saving for, and being able to put the plans that were really focused on those personal goals versus just counting the dollars. Because it is hard to talk about it when, especially if you come from like an immigrant family or if you came here as refugees, that's a very personal thing. You don't want people to know your business, and you don't have enough compared to others. And so it's a sensitive topic. But when I was in financial services, it was always about the people. And again, that's why I decided that maybe that my purpose was not to plan people's finances. My purpose was really, because that was more what I love, is to really uncover what drove them and motivated them. And from that perspective, to plan the way that they wanted to plan, right? But it was really about the motivations and what drove them. What was their purpose in life? Why did they want to save the money or invest the money? And so if we focus on what people really want, their basic human needs, it's easier to have conversations than just talking about how much money do you have in your bank account.
No, I mean, in
AJ, you have
terms
a
of
question?
your personal growth, not the client, but you personally,
Mm.
the career that you're in, it's very challenging. Does anybody supporting you? You have a family, spouse, you know what I mean? Not the client,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. When I was in financial services, I didn't have a spouse. I really just relied a lot on my mentors, and started building my circle of influence, my centers of influence. Those are the folks that really supported me, helped guide me, took me to places to network with the right types of people. So just building a strong network of people who wanted me to succeed was very helpful. In this business today at SOAR, I do have a business partner and a life partner. I have my husband. He's a part of the business, but I also have strategic partners. I also have some family members who are now supporting the business. So that ecosystem, that support as we grow, as we expand is so essential, because it's very lonely. It's very scary to run your business. When the market tanks, you're just like, can hardly sleep at night. But it's important that, one, you really believe in yourself and you believe that your work matters. And also then building an ecosystem of people that really believe in you and trust you. That really helps you to navigate those very difficult times when things aren't ebbing and flowing the way that you want.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
AJ, do you have any
Yeah.
comment or question before we move on to the second one?
I have a question for you, Bong. Listen.
Marley?
Okay. Yeah, Melly, Bong. So how you make people successful?
In the work that we do, it really is about helping them become better humans so that they can lead others better. A lot of the folks we work with are executives of their own companies or managers and directors. And oftentimes, when you're working in a business that grows really rapidly, you're put in positions, but you didn't get developed, in terms of better communicating, right? You might be really gifted in your skill sets, your talents, but you don't necessarily have training on how to deal with people, manage people, support people, and nurture people. So we spend a lot of time making sure that those leaders and emerging leaders get the development that they need with some of those essential skills. How do I communicate effectively? What are my natural behavioral drivers that can be positive and superpowers, but that can also be some caution areas of how I'm being perceived? How do I help people get along inside teams? What can I do? What is my self-awareness goals so that I can be better as a manager, as a leader, as a boss? And that's really what we focus on in our work here at SOAR.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to number 3. Sapan, go ahead and read it to her. Oops, what happened to you now? Let's go ahead and share your strategy on your personal and business success challenges and obstacle, Molly.
I think this is such an interesting question. When you shared this with me, I was thinking about it. When you talk about personal and business success, I feel like they go hand in hand. For me, right where I am in my life, I do feel personally that I'm quite successful because I know that the work that I'm doing is meaningful. I know that my clients really appreciate us, and also we see how it's impacted the teams that they support. So for me, that personal satisfaction of doing work that I love goes hand in hand with the success of the business. Because the business is becoming stronger and we're building a stronger foundation, we're putting together infrastructure where we can scale and make it a very sustainable business, right? That makes me feel like all these years that we've invested, all the ups and downs, all the scary moments, it's all been worth it. In terms of challenges, like every small business, every entrepreneur, there are always challenges, right? You have to wear so many hats. You have to be the visionary. You have to be mindful of the finances, right? What's coming in? How are we making the bills happen? You have to really be thinking about building those solid relationships to make sure that you're constantly building your pipeline for business development and sales. And so managing all of that is a big challenge. And then finding time to rest. In the early years of my business, I was just working, and you realize that you're not that productive. You're just busy. And so over the last few years, I've learned through some coaching and some mentorship for me, is that I want to be in a place, and I feel like we're getting to a place where we're using less of this terminology busy and more of being active, right? Being active. Being active seems like it's more intentional. You're choosing what you want to focus on. You're not just doing busy work just because you feel like entrepreneurs should always be busy. So I would say that's the challenge. The challenge is growing a business that is sustainable, that is scalable, and that also has a foundation that can live on without you. That is the hardest thing about scaling a business, is how to delegate and how to make sure that someone else can come in and do this, and it's not relying just on you. So those are some of the challenges as well.
Thank you.
Great. All right, just go ahead and go to our participation and to see if we have any question.
Can I go again?
No? Nobody have question for this one?
Me, always.
No.
I'm here to learn. Oh, we lost her.
Are you guys by any chance experiencing any
lost
type
her?
of like lagging or latency issues at all, or is it just my phone
No,
or
I'm
my
okay.
network?
Okay.
Hold on, let me,
Oh, there she is.
let me add
Yeah.
Molly back too.
Yeah.
Let me back. Okay, we don't want to lose her. Oh, who did we lost?
Oh
We
wait,
lost
wait,
anybody?
I didn't put the mic on.
AJ, we need AJ.
Okay, Kenny.
So we lost AJ. We got Bo Pierre back. Okay, give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, you guys trade spaces.
What the- Can I continue with the
can.
question so we don't save time?
You don't.
There he is.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
right.
There
All
you
right,
go.
now it's even. 6 people. Great.
Technical system.
Nali,
Second
if I may ask a question. No.
Yes, please.
Like you did it successfully 10 years, 20 years? Was it I know you've been an entrepreneur for a while, but the business success has been let's say 10 years?
Yeah, I would say when I was in financial services, I had the practice for 7 years, and then I left the practice and I launched this business, and I just celebrated 12 years in the business. When I first launched this business, I wouldn't say that it was successful. I mean, success is something that you continue to build. The first few years were just learning what the heck I was doing, right? I mean, you got to really listen to your clients. You go out there and you do your best to offer services, and then your clients over time get to tell you, oh, this really served me really well. And then you repeat that. So the first 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, you're figuring it out. And that's something that I'm always very mindful. You know, entrepreneurship sounds like such a sexy, cool thing, but it is hard as heck, right? When you first start, you got to make sure that I will always tell people, make sure you have a cushion of money, because I was not smart with that. You know, I just thought, oh, I have this great idea. I'll just go work really hard. I'll hustle and I'll work out. But it's so important that you have a support system, that you know it takes time to really figure out the right formula for what makes your business unique and special, and packaging it and marketing it. It takes sometimes years to figure that out. And so that's what I would tell people, you know, don't just think that it's cool and it's sexy. I launch a business and 2 years I'm gonna be, and there are companies who can do that and be very successful. But be mindful that it takes time to figure out exactly what's your unique value proposition. What is this secret sauce that you want to offer to the world? And then also don't sacrifice, just because you're good at it doesn't mean that you love it. And it doesn't mean that, like, holistically and spiritually and emotionally, it'll give you the flow that you need to continue doing the work. So it's important that you align what you're really good at with the things that you also love. Just because you're good at it, but you hate doing it, that's not sustainable. So figuring out what type of business is truly going to keep you going and really align to your purpose and the things that you love, it is essential so that you stay focused, and that even if everybody tells you you're crazy, you know you're not, because you know you're doing your life's work. And that's the stuff that keeps you pushing through till the very end, until you get to a place where you can now take off and get to your turning point. And from there, it starts to kind of like, you know, fall into place. But it takes a lot of time.
The reason I asked for the time frame, because compared to now, is it easier? What is, you know, the situation right now? How is it different? Is it better?
It is.
Easier?
Oh, it's much easier. It's much easier because there's also a knowing within me that I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to do. For so many years, I was like still wondering what is really my thing to do? What does SOAR really stand for? What is it that we're uniquely designed and capable of doing? Now it's much easier, because when you know with clarity your North Star and your purpose, you can articulate it. You actually are able to sell it, because you can say it with clarity, and you can be succinct. You know who your target audience is, who you're selling to, your buyers. We call them avatars, right? And so it's much easier, because now it's kind of like plug and play. Whereas before you were stumbling through it all. Stumbling.
But Supan is sideways.
Supan, you want to adjust your phone? Can you guys go horizontal? AJ, go horizontal.
Yeah.
Okay,
there you
go
go.
horizontal.
That's good. That's better.
Yeah, it looks
AJ,
great.
can you go horizontal?
So Molly, you were telling me the experience. Of course, you have more experience, the better. But I'm talking about the situation we're going through right now. The world has changed, isn't it? We have technology. We have a lot of depression, recession. How has that helped the business in finance? Because I'm learning.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm doing less finance. I mean, the work that I do really is about human development. So right now, the culture work is so essential because of what's happening, right? You've got organizations who are becoming more mindful that humans come to work, not machines. People come to work. And so how are we developing and supporting them? You know, the mental well-being of your employees is so essential to the productivity, how engaged they are, how they communicate with each other. If you have workers who are not well, depressed, anxious, worried, they're not going to be able to come into work and operate at that higher level of self, which means that they're not going to be as innovative and creative. And so for us, because of the changing landscape, faster technology, because of the pandemic and all the different changes in work environments, there is actually more demand and more need. You know, many years ago, it was harder to sell something like this to many leaders, because they're like, oh, you know, it's not really going to drive revenue. But now they understand that it really is impacting revenue to not take care of your people, and to make sure that they actually get the development that they need to communicate better together and work more effectively together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Really
Anyone
Supan
else?
again. Sophia, welcome.
Supan's coming
Sophia. You're back now.
Yes, hi, Sophia,
Supan was just
welcome.
helping out.
So we're gonna go. Hey, anybody have any additional question for Molly? Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and move on to number 4. Okay, Molly, let's go ahead and share your experience, how to stay and be healthier mentally and emotionally.
I will be very transparent with you all.
Big question.
Yes, it's a big question. For many years, this was very difficult for me, right? To really focus on my overall health and well-being. Because when you're running a business and things are not going as well as you'd like, you pour so much of your heart and soul and your energy and your finance into it that you're constantly worried. And that really takes a toll on your health. So it wasn't until, I would say, over the last year to 15 months that I started doing yoga in the morning, that I started, and consistently. I mean, I would do it here and there, take classes, but I started doing yoga consistently. Recently, it's been almost 12 weeks now, I started going on a health plan for eating clean, eating healthier. I do allow myself some cheat dates, but mostly it's really just making sure that I am fueling my body with the right types of food. I've been able to, really, I've lost 13 pounds. And that's really just because for me, I want to be healthier. We have big goals for our business. We have to stay healthy and active. And so, we don't want to be tired and not get the sleep that we need. And most recently, I actually committed to daily meditation. And that happens in the morning after I do a modality that I love called emotional freedom technique. It's a tapping technique. I do that every morning. And after that, I commit to 10 minutes of meditation. And right now I'm doing guided meditation because I'm working on certain areas of just this healing for me, areas that I know that I need to break through. And so those guided meditation helps me focus on those specific areas of improvement. And those are the types of things that I've been committed to now for almost 15 months. And I think that's what's contributed to more focus and more success, even with the business. Being able to change my mindset attracts others. And you don't even know that it's happening, but it just naturally is happening. When you feel lighter, when you feel like you have a sense of purpose and you're clear about what you want, people can feel it. They don't know what they're feeling, but they can feel it. And that's what I've been committed to. And I do feel a difference emotionally, but also mentally. I have a bigger vision for myself. I have a stronger sense of purpose and self-worth that I didn't have this level of this confidence before.
Yes, important to have confidence. And Molly, anytime that I'm going to have a mental or emotional breakdown, I'm calling you again.
Yeah, me too.
I like what you said, Malay, in terms of like the emotional tapping. Is that what it was? You said
Yes.
emotional tapping technique. I like that. I actually I heard about this and I tried it too. It's like the kind of like a different points in your body. You just kind of tap here and things
all
like
the
that.
different meridian points. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's so a little bit about me. Like I actually, I used to be a chain smoker. I used to smoke so much to reduce stress, and then I started, having other bad habits too to try to quit smoking. So I quit smoking, I quit drinking, and it's like one of the techniques I learned how to do that, how to overcome your urges and withdrawals, it was by using the tapping technique.
That's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
it. I've been tapping now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been over 10 years that I've been tapping.
Wow.
In terms of
Right.
consistently tapping, it's been maybe 8 years, but I learned it
Wow.
over 10 years ago from a practitioner teacher.
No,
And
that's
I'll give her a
phenomenal.
shout out. Bev Nierenberg taught me. And it's
Yeah.
really calmed me every morning. It kind of resets me. So I want to keep doing it.
It was a little weird doing it in front of especially my wife, and when she sees me tapping, and she's like, "Oh, are you having cravings and urges again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm tapping right now," and I used to hide it. I don't want to tap in public. You know what I mean? But I understand it's so important because what it does, it kind of like gets your mind off things, and you're focused on the tapping, and then you're having this the mantra and saying and having affirmations and things like that.
It is
I-
so powerful.
Put it together right now a little bit. Take time.
Yes.
Can you show us with your technique?
Well, if you tap, you start here, right? And you're just basically saying affirmations, and then you kind of tap up here, and you move through these specific points. They call them meridian points.
Meridian
Okay.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah,
you
that's
just
it.
keep-
I
you just-
remember.
Yeah, that's it. And for your audience, it's really
We're
neat
all
because-
doing it. Everyone better be tapping tonight. All right. You want to soar? This is how we're gonna do it. Okay, come on.
That's
Gotta
right.
go to it. No, I'm
That's
serious.
right. I love what you just said. If you want to soar, start tapping or start
Start
finding
tapping.
modalities that work
Yeah.
for you. It's
Birds
called
of a feather.
emotional. Yeah, it's called emotional freedom technique for those
Emotional
that want to look it up.
freedom technique. Sorry, that's freedom right there. It's like it's birds of a feather flocks together, and I think having this type of like techniques, and then it's good. It's good. It's good personal development. I really I love your story. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. you. It also helps you hear yourself when you do the affirmations, or you're honest with yourself about what's causing you pain or anxiety or fear. Just getting
Yeah.
out of your body makes such a difference, because we carry so much within us, and
Right.
we feel like, okay, I'm going to keep it inside because it's a sacred place. But in many ways, that sacred temple is being harmed because you are burying it with just heaviness. So even if you don't share it with any other soul, just tapping, when you take a shower, or tapping in the car, and being able
Right.
to hear yourself say these things, let it leave your body. And it does make a difference. It's a part of your healing journey, and it has been a part of mine.
Yes, definitely.
Amazing. Anyone else?
Thank you. I just want to comment. They said that according to statistics, they said now more and more people have issue with mental health breakdown. A lot. So,
Yes. And there's so many
This will help
different.
them, right?
Yes, it really will. And like I said, the emotional freedom technique is just one modality. Some folks can, go on and decide to do meditation, but there are different types of meditation. Some types might not work for you. Some folks who are very active may not necessarily want to sit down and meditate, but they can do walking meditations. You got to find the thing that really helps you feel good. In the end of the day, what makes you feel good? What makes you feel in harmony and one with yourself first, before you can be one with others? So I would say, and I love the comment. Yes, now more than ever, statistically, there is more mental illnesses, mental concerns, and there's so many different things that are contributing to that. A lot of it is just bombardment of information. Our younger generation are dealing with things that in my generation we didn't have to deal with, in terms of they have to worry about existential threats. We knew that there were challenges in life, but when they are seeing all the news about doom and gloom, it impacts their psyche. And so being able to create spaces where people can explore and share these concerns, but not be inundated with just the negativity. The world is beautiful too. There is still a lot of hope. There is still a lot of happiness and joy, and ways in which we can change the trajectory of this doom and gloom. We have smart people. Our younger generation are smartest generation I've ever seen. If anybody can change this world and save this planet, they can. And so we have to help them understand how to turn some of this fear into optimism. It will change the way that they receive information, or protect themselves from letting it seep into their psyche. That is so important for us.
It's very helpful.
Great. Thank you, Molly.
It really is important. I think the best way to do it is just ban TikTok.
That's one way to do it. So many ways. We said technology, and we have each other. Okay.
I mean, I'm just if you watch TikTok lately, it's the reason why certain states are banning it, and it's just a lot of like content is on there, and it's not healthy for the younger generation too as well. I'm sure you guys have TikToks too, even I do, and I see some of the stuff. I'm like, man, this is terrible, and I feel like there's a certain agenda behind it, the way the algorithm works and stuff like that, and social media definitely pretty bad too as well, even though I use social media.
In general,
I think
it can be bad, but I watch the funny one. The TikTok, I only watch the funny one.
I think fostering social interactions would be more helpful, right? Being able to create experiences for our children, our youth, where they are communicating, where they are looking each other in the eye, like those types of things are going to be so essential.
Yeah, we need more like face-to-face. Yeah, more face-to-face interaction, and reaching out to each other. A lot of people just start texting and doing more of that, when we should be meeting people and having again human interaction, like you said.
I'm not sure what happened to Chris.
I'm getting echo. Are you guys getting that at all?
It's not hitting echo now.
No, I'm not getting it.
And come back.
I don't hear it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. My screen went black for a second. So are we done with number 4? And do you want to move on? Sapan, go ahead and tell Molly what you want to ask her.
All right, Millie. So See, sharing her way, how, and why to build generational wealth and plant your own money tree.
This is my
Plural.
favorite.
Trees.
Trees. Yes. Money tree.
Yeah,
I love this one.
I'm
Go ahead.
hearing an echo. I don't know if I should keep going or we should try and.
Yeah, you sound fine on my end.
Okay.
It's from, I think it's from you, Bon Chris.
From me? Yeah,
Yeah.
if it is it from me? Okay, I will keep myself be
Check.
quiet, and then you go ahead, Molly.
All right. Yeah, it might be helpful if you mute yours. So anyway, why is this important? In terms of building generational wealth, I personally do it through mentoring others and mentoring my own nieces and nephews. I think a part of the thing that we're missing is this idea that wealth is not just money. Wealth is ideas. Wealth is knowledge. Wealth is wisdom. And so whether there's a monetary
I like that.
exchange, it's really about generation wealth being planting the seeds for future generations to think critically, to be more compassionate and mindful of other people's experiences. That to me is a part of building generational wealth. On top of that, if we're developing and shaping those young minds and those humans through knowledge and wisdom and critical thinking, that's going to actually help them to be able to then create the wealth for themselves, right? In terms of, for us, our vision, when our business is successful, being able to create generational wealth is also looking at not only our family members and making sure that they're supported and protected and have all their basic needs met, but to also look at the community around us, in terms, for me, like the Lao community. Who in the Lao community could we develop and mentor and help and guide? Other communities that are in need, communities of color, communities where there are children with special needs. So we have to look at generational wealth differently, because the values of our younger generation is not just tied to money, right? What they're seeking is really an opportunity to explore, to think differently, to honestly and quite frankly, they're trying to find ways to save the planet so they can be here and their children and grandchildren and great grandchildren can have a home, can have a place. And so we have to think about, again, building generational wealth beyond money. And I have no problems with planting money trees. I have a money tree in my office. Every time, somebody in my family is doing something, I show up, but they have a new home, a new office. I'm bringing them a money tree. I love money trees. And so it's really, to me, when you ask me how am I building generational wealth, it is through my business, but that business is also through this love, this purpose that I have. So it's not just building a business just to build a business. It's building a business that aligns perfectly with what I want my legacy to be when I'm not here anymore. It is truly aligned to my life's mission. And when I live that purpose through my business, everyone I touch feels it, including my family, including my niece and nephew who have already been mentored, who I tell them if they want an internship with us, they can come. If they have anybody else in their lives that want to learn entrepreneurship or figure out what fulfills them, if they ever want to pursue entrepreneurship, they have a place to learn here. And so to answer that question, that's how I answer building generational wealth. It's knowledge, it's wisdom, and also it's finances.
Wow. I love the way you put that. It's knowledge, wisdom, and finances. And for some strange reason, I feel like some folks out there they don't see that it's important to build wealth, whether it's knowledge, wisdom, and finances, right? And it's weird because when I say, hey, build generational wealth, their response is like, oh, well, I don't need to be rich, I don't need money, or money's not the most important thing, and things like that. Like, how do you feel when you hear people say like how money is not the most important thing? Like, what comes to your mind?
I feel two things. One, I feel like when people say money is not the most important thing, most of it I think comes from a place of truth and authenticity. But I also think society has taught us that money is bad, or that we can't focus too much on it. I think money is a tool. I think money is a resource to get us to the places where we want to go. to serve the communities we want to serve, to protect our family, to do all these things. In our society, right, where we are today on this planet, we need money as a vehicle to be able to provide and do the things that are actually going to allow us to be the altruists that we are, the philanthropists that we are. But we first have to feed ourselves and our families, and we can't do that in this society. Like, this society is not trading bread for eggs. In some societies, yes, but in the modern world, in the Western world, it's capital, whether you like it or not, right? It's just the way it is. And so when we know that to be the truth of our society, we have to operate from that place. It doesn't mean we have to be greedy. I don't believe in that. There's plenty and enough for everybody. But to say that money is not important is also, we need to challenge people. It's important, but the thing that I think we have to remember, what is it important for? What is ultimately, do you want the money for, right? If the intention is good and pure, there's nothing wrong with building wealth and being rich. But there is also a difference from being rich and being wealthy. You can be rich and have a whole bunch of money in the bank. When I was in financial service, I met a lot of people who were rich, but they were not wealthy because they were not healthy, right? Healthy meaning they were not healthy spiritually, they were not healthy mentally, they were not healthy emotionally. So to me, wealth is all of those things. I have money in the bank, and holistically, I am well. Rich is just having a whole bunch of money, but that doesn't mean that you actually are contributing to society or caring for others. And in the end, what are you here for if you're not contributing or making, any impact on anybody else? Right. And so that is a big distinction.
I love the way you put that. Wow. Thank you for answering that question, Millie.
You're very welcome.
Are you still hearing echo from me?
No, actually a lot better. Don't speak.
Hey, I got you. I got you to back me up. I'm good.
I think it's only when your mic is on.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So go ahead, and anybody else have a comment or question for that number 5 section?
Yeah, that's excellent.
Chris, can you mute your mic when we're talking? Okay, I think that works.
I mean, I was being truthful. Like when he talked, it's very echoey.
So I just want to add that wisdom and everything, money is a tool like that. But I told Buddy that it's freedom for me.
Yes, yeah, it definitely is freedom, and it allows you to soar and be free and fulfill. Yeah, for having fulfillment and be more philanthropic. And I just definitely. I think money is super important. I honestly, I teach my children, about money. Like whenever they get in trouble, they have to read a chapter in one of my finance books that I have in the library, and they have to do a report on it. And I feel like those conversations are healthy. When I grow up, I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this, Millie. Like, I didn't have this conversation with my parents. All they taught me was to just, save money, but I didn't learn how to grow it. And I always wondered, like, what exactly are the rich doing, and what do they know that I don't know? And it just, I went on this down this rabbit hole and this personal mission to try to learn as much as I can about how money works and finance and stuff like that. So much that I didn't even end up marrying an accountant, and now she's my personal banker and stuff too. So, but yeah. I feel like it is extremely important, and as far as being an entrepreneur, Millie, I know it was a while back. I want to add to this. I said, it's not easy. It's very, very challenging and difficult, and it's going to test you, and it's going to be a lot of pain, from sacrifices and losing, relationships and time, and a lot of pain there. But also, if you reflect on those pains, like, you actually have some progression along with it. So I feel like you have a certain way of dealing with pain. I mean, the tapping technique is one of them. Definitely, I like that.
Yeah, you have to. We all do. We have to cope with the things that hold us back. And this is not a relationship with anybody else. It's really a relationship of being better than you were yesterday. It's not a comparison, right? It's really just looking at yourself and knowing that we're all flawed, that we come with all these things that our default systems kind of have us behave a certain way. And when you develop self-awareness and you realize, oh, there I go again. It's not self-judgment. You don't have to self-deprecate yourself or say that it's bad. It's just noticing, oh, there she goes again. The person that is being, so it's really interesting when you think about the evolution of who you are as a human and as a business leader. They go hand in hand. As I grow as a better person, I'm absolutely going to be a better leader because now I have more tools, right? And I'm also going to be a better wife and a better sibling and a better everything. But it starts with what I'm willing to uncover about myself, even the dark demons or the places that I used to not like about myself, to embrace all those things and say, you know what, but that makes me me. And that's really the beauty of allowing yourself this healing journey, knowing that, and also being courageous enough to like tell the truth to yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, it's not cool when you do that, and you don't want to be the type of person that people have to tiptoe around or that they don't want to be around. And so you have to give yourself permission to grow every day, every second, every hour.
I love that. And with growth, I mean, it's change. It's the evolution to your revolution. And fortunately, you will outgrow certain people, certain relationships, and they might say things like, "Oh, you change, or you're too good for us now," and this and that. And I feel like you're supposed to change. You know what I mean? We're not the same person like 10 years ago. I know I'm not. And my circle of influence, my circle I actually gotten a lot like smaller and smaller as I get older. And then, I just celebrated my 42nd birthday just last month. And I was like telling my wife, I was like, I don't have any more friends. And I felt lonely for a little bit,
No friends here.
But I do have friends. But again, you attract as you grow, you attract the your vibe attracts your tribe, so you attract different people. So I'm blessed. I can't say like I have a bunch of best friends. I used to have so many BFFs. Now it's like I can't even call them. And if I do call them, they're working on their business, working on themselves.
I think that what you're saying is absolutely true, though. When you mature, you start to also recognize what feels good in your body, in your being, in your, just in your circle. Like if you don't feel good around people, or they don't make you feel good, or they're not supportive, we can't have space for that in our lives, because we're not going to be able to be the best versions of ourselves if we let people who are toxic or who hurt us or who harm us, take up space, right? And that's very hard, because we've carried friendships along the way because, number one, we're comfortable. We feel we have to, we feel some type of obligation. But when you get older, you realize there's only limited time in this life. With this one body, you get to live in this time, and you have to really make some tough decisions about what is sacred. Who do you let into your heart? Who do you let into your home? I've had to make those tough choices. I was constantly growing up wanting to fit in, so I built this need to please people, and I realized that is detrimental to my well-being, to my own sense of joy, to my own sense of worth. I was like basically measuring my worth based on how many people wanted to be around me, versus measure my worth based on my gifts and based on what it is that I have to offer to the world. A very different mindset from when I was younger.
Wow. I can listen to you. You can continue. That's how I feel, right? How about you guys?
The same. As we get older, our circle is getting smaller. Yep, the same. But in my field of work, I always have needy people around me, so I'm not worried about that. But on my deathbed, they're probably, I don't know how many going to be there. They only need you. They're only there when they need you. When they don't, then, they use you until you're like really obsolete and, gone like ash.
Yeah, but I think over time, you have to trust your intuition to know who you want to bring along and who you have to slowly or immediately say, this isn't going to work for me. And you don't even have to have a conversation. You just have to make a decision and then just not engage anymore. Right. You can do it lovingly, but we can't afford to. I'm in my 40s now, I don't have the same level of patience. I'm still very patient, but in terms of patience with like what feels good inside of me, I need to honor that. And the rest of it, I have to let go because it's just such limited time, such limited time.
Do you? I sorry to add more to this. I know we're running out of time, but Ali, I have a question for you. Like, do you feel sometimes like I feel bad sometimes I have to like block, certain people out of my life because sometimes it's just I feel like they it's like a time suck. They're vampires. They just suck up your time and they give I don't know, like I have people who just like vomit all kinds of like all the like negativity and just so I don't and I had to like kind of distance myself and I really like them, but at the same time it's like, man, like I can't really I gotta filter it, you know what I mean? How do you feel when you do stuff like that? Do you ever come across that?
I have, but I take a different approach. I really, just like truly internalize the fact that this is a decision that's really much about my higher self. It has nothing to do with them. So I don't allow resentment. I don't make it about them at all. I make it more about like what's healthy for me. What do I desire for my vision for my life? And then I just wish them well energetically. I don't have to have a conversation and say, I quit you, or you're no longer my friend, or I'm going to block you. You make this decision and you honor what your decision is, and then you kindly not engage. And if they reach out, you could say, yes, we can chat here and there, but you don't volunteer to go meet them. So you don't have to have resentment. I would cut that resentment cord. It's just no good for you anyway. I would even cut the guilt cord. Like there's nothing to be guilty about.
Right.
Ask
oh my
yourself,
gosh.
what's my higher self, and choose this for myself. And you don't have to.
You need to cut it.
There's no need to be drama. There's no drama.
You know that if you watch this story, it's an old Cambodian story. It's called Vipadesare, resentment. You should. I'll send you a link to it. So cutting someone out, you'll feel resentment in the future of your life. So watch the story. I love the word. It's called Vipadesare.
You can't. You gotta cut the weight. Yeah, cut the day weight if you want to fly, right? Stuff like that. If you want to soar.
No, you don't have to.
You gotta cut the weight.
Yeah, I want to go on, but do we really out of time?
Yeah. Okay.
2 more minutes,
Chris.
Right? 9:02.
We have 2.5 minutes.
Well, thank you so much. We need to continue the conversation, please. Learning a lot. We have a lot.
Yeah, I think, Chris, before you turn your mic on, I want to say one thing because we're coming to a close, and to close out this last question about, why is it very important to stay and be happy with the people around you? It really is when there's self-joy and happiness within, you're going to make other people around you happy. It's that simple. If I'm not happy, if I'm not well, it's going to bleed out into my relationship. So if I take care of me, if I figure out what's holding me back, if I do the EFT tapping and the meditation and I work on the stuff to help me heal, then how I love, how it shows up, how calm and peaceful I am with my husband, with my mom, with my siblings, with the people I work for, that it's really all about us in the end. I like to say that it's not about being self-centered, it's about being self-centered, right? Center yourself.
Like that.
And then you can start to really provide more happiness to other people. You can't make other people happy, but you can make them feel happy when you're around. And that's when the self-work is so critical.
I'm stealing that. I love it.
Thank you so much for having me. I know we're out of time, but this was so wonderful. I love the interaction between the questions because it wasn't just me talking. This is so cool.
Yeah, maybe we would love to have you on longer, but oh my God, thank you everyone that tuned in and commented and add to this. And
I'm sorry, I had to say something before we cut off. So thank you so much because you're an expert, successful. A lot of people need help, so we need to focus on how we can help more people. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you so
much. Yes, even though you don't have time, like myself, just try to squeeze in and participate.
Thank you, Chris, my brother, for having me. And everybody, you can all find me. The best way is just Google my name. That's the easiest way, and you'll find my website and everything. So I would love to to really support your program. And I appreciate you honoring me with this opportunity. And I hope I put out some good nuggets for your audience.
I learned a lot, and I'm gonna start tapping again.
Okay. All right, Chris. I know you're echoing, but I'm going to say khop chai lai lai de. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
No more echo.